Shalawam. Giving first all credit to YAHAWAH BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI. Yahweh being the name of the Heavenly Father, who the world ignorantly calls God, and Yahawashi being the name of who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. And I also want to give a double honors to the apostles and elders of Greatmillstone. Just wanted to do this video based off this movie called Bird Box on Netflix. I'm sure many of you have seen it already. It's very prophetic, being that the times that we're living in, just lately just been in the habit of, watching different movies because, Esau, they put a lot of things in, in these movies because, that's where they get their ideas from, it may sound far-fetched to a lot of people, but, nevertheless, and this is where Esau, this is where they get their ideas from. They get it from the Bible. Okay. And again, I just kind of wanted to do my own little commentary on this movie called Bird Box on Netflix. I'm sure many of you have seen it already. But like I said, it's very prophetic, just watching this movie, watching it from a spiritual standpoint. And again, it might seem, very far-fetched, because, they show you in the movie, people, basically people, seeing things to cause them to react in a very strange way, in that movie, people, they see some type of apparitions and whatever. Well, they don't really go into it in the movie, but nevertheless, pretty much people, man, they were getting jacked the hell up, you know. So again, I just wanted to do this video because again, it may sound far-fetched, but these are things that are these are things that are actually going to happen. These things are going to take place, in the midst of Jacob's trouble and all hell breaking loose and famines and people dying of hunger and all type of judgments taking place on the earth. In the midst of all the hell that is about to take place on this earth, especially here in America. With all that being said, you're gonna have strange things, strange events taking place as well. Because, well, if you didn't know, YAHAWAH BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI, he's sending the plagues. Matter of fact, that's going to be the first scripture I'm going to start off with. The same plagues of Egypt, ancient Egypt, are going to befall in here in America. Because again, if you didn't know, in the Bible, America is spiritually known as Egypt. America is spiritually Egypt. Okay. Matter of fact, let me get that first. Going to the book of, what is that? It's either 8 and 11 or 11 and 8. Let me try 8 and 11 first. Revelations chapter 8. No, it's 11 and 8. Revelations 11 and 8. It says, "And their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city." Again, what's that great city? That's talking about America. Okay, on top of all the other names because you're not going to find the word America in the Bible. Okay, I always got to bring this point out. The Bible itself is one big code book. So again, it's not going to just it's not going to say the nation of Israel or the so-called blacks, Hispanics, Native American Indians. It's not going to say that. When you read the book of Genesis, the 49th chapter, and it tells you how to you read the book of Genesis, the 49th chapter, um, it basically gives a breakdown on who the 12 tribes are, and that's how you know Judah is the so-called Negroes or African Americans, Levi is the so-called Haitians, Simeon is so-called Dominicans. If you go through the whole chapter and you go um, through the precepts and you look at history, um, you will be able to tell these things. But again, it's not going to straight up say Judah is the so-called Negroes. No, it's not going to say that because again, the Bible is one big code book. And again, one of the code names for America is throughout the Bible. America is known as Babylon or the Virgin Daughter of Babylon, as well as other names like Egypt. And spiritually, this place is called Sodom, which we're about to read in this verse. Reading again in the Revelation chapter. Reading again in the Revelation chapter 11, verse 8, it says, "And their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt, where also our Lord was crucified." So, how do you know that this is talking about America? Well, first, if you go to the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 68, one of the curses that will befall us as a people. It says, Deuteronomy 28:68, it says, "And Yahawah shall," I'm going to read it verbatim. It says, "And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again, and there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you." So again, how do you know that this Egypt is talking about America? Well, for one, it says the Lord will bring thee into Egypt again with ships. Now, if um, you know, landmass, you don't need ships to go into Israel. You don't need ships. Ships is they're basically neighboring. They're neighboring countries. But if you look, if you look at history during this transatlantic slave trade from the west coast of Africa and throughout, we were brought over here from Africa to the Americas in ships. So that's one way of knowing. Um, that's one way to be able to tell. The America's talking basically. It's talking about America, okay? Because again, it's one big code book. Um, and also when you go back to Revelations 11:8, it says where our Lord was crucified. Now the Lord wasn't crucified over here. He wasn't crucified in the Americas, right? But it's more so is going into the image, and again, you just look at history, and you see how so-called blacks, Hispanics, Native American Indians, um, basically, like I said, the 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 image of the Lord, you know, because the scripture's talking about how um, the nation of Israel, fell away as a people. So we were stripped of our heritage. Um, before we came over here, we weren't worshiping uh, a white image. of, again, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus. We weren't worshiping that white image. Okay, that's something that was taught to us in slavery. That's part of how the Lord was crucified, because it's clear, the Lord is a black man, a so-called black man. But nevertheless, that's just some ways of showing how Egypt is, is preferring to America. I don't want to get off topic too much, but going to the book of, um, so the whole, like I said, the whole point of this video, when dealing with this movie, the Bird Box, people were seeing all type of, seeing all type of things, and it caused, it caused a lot of strange things to happen, and um, again, that's coming here, as I'm about to pull, as I'm about to get, what is that? Second Ezra chapter 15, because this place is about to get jacked up. All right, Second Ezra chapter 15 and verse 11. It says, "But I will bring them with a mighty hand and a stretched out arm, and smite Egypt with plagues as before, and will destroy all the land thereof." So, um, judgments. There are set judgments throughout the Bible. Okay, as we just read, the Lord is about to. He's bringing the plagues of Egypt, trying to keep it short and simple, as before. What happened in ancient Egypt? You had different, locusts and famine and all type of things. You can read about it. But the point I want to touch, the whole point of this video, is part of the plagues of Egypt was that darkness that befell the Egyptians for 3 days. Matter of fact, let me get into the history a little bit. And that darkness is coming here. Okay. But this darkness is the point I want to get into. This darkness that befell the Egyptians. This wasn't no ordinary type of darkness. Okay. Let's just go to it. The book of Exodus, chapter 10. And I'll start at verse 20. Exodus 10 and 20. It says, "But the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart, so that he would not let the children of Israel go. And the Lord said unto Moses, Stretch out thine hand toward heaven, and there may be darkness over the land of Egypt, even darkness which may be felt." So again, this wasn't this darkness. People might think, they were they had no light. That might be, what people think. There was just no light, right? But again, this was a darkness that could be felt, if you could picture that. Okay. Reading on. Verse 22. "And Moses stretched forth his hand toward heaven, and there was a thick darkness in all the land of Egypt 3 days. They saw not one another, neither rose any from his place for 3 days, but all the children of Israel had light in their dwellings." So again, this darkness that befell the children of Israel. Excuse me. The Egyptians. This wasn't no ordinary darkness. This darkness was so thick, so dense, so intense. You couldn't see anything. A darkness that could be felt. And listen, these Egyptians, they were in darkness for 3 days, right? And again, those were long 3 days. Let me tell you, okay? Because during that time, and we're gonna get into it, but during that time, these Egyptians, man, they again, because people think that, oh, Egypt had no light, and they were just sitting there not doing anything. No, that's far from the case. During this time, these Egyptians, they were experiencing um, strange things were taking place. Okay, they were seeing things, they were hearing things. Um, People were dying of heart attacks because they were terrified. It was a very terrifying time. Those 3 days, those Egyptians, man. And again, That darkness is coming. It is coming here to America. A lot of people. Matter of fact, let me get the book of Isaiah. You're gonna start seeing a lot of strange things start taking place. What is that? Isaiah 28 and um 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 I know it's in Isaiah. Let me just look this. Again, you're gonna have a lot of strange occurrences start taking place. Okay, this is part of the plagues that are coming back to. Um, Part of the plagues, the Lord is there. It is Isaiah 28 and 21. Oh, I was already there. Okay. Isaiah 28 and 21, it says, "For the Lord shall rise up as in Mount Perazim, and he shall be wroth as in the valley of Gibeon, that he may do his work." And matter of fact, I'm gonna put up that account as well. But reading on, it says, "That he may do his work, his strange work, and bring to pass his strange act." So again, um, the times that we're coming into, more specifically, Jacob's trouble. On top of everything that's going to take place, you're gonna have race wars popping off. You're gonna have, people are gonna be dying of hunger. Cannibalism is coming back on a major scale. All type of things are gonna be taking place. And one of the plagues that is going to be taking place is, again, you're going to have strange things, strange acts. You're going to have demons, demonic forces in the flesh manifest themselves. People are going to be catching hell. Okay, you're gonna have these. I mean, let me tell you, man, these demons, man, um, they're gonna be set loose out here, man. People are going to be getting jacked up. Just like if you've seen the movie, The Bird Box, you know, people they were seeing things that it caused them to to do strange acts and basically commit suicide. Um, but going back to this um um lost my train of thought. But again, just going back to these, these demonic forces, these demons and these evil angels, as the Bible, um, as the Bible will call them, because that's what they are. They're, you know, what you would consider, demons and negative spirits or whatnot. These are actual angels, evil angels. Okay, and just like Satan being the top angel on the left hand side of the Most High. Um, like I said, just like Satan, the spiritual demon, um, which is the top demon on the left hand, the top angel on the left hand. All these demons and all these demonic forces and negative entities, they all work for the Most High. Okay, contrary to what they teach in the world, um, you know, um, they teach something along the lines of, there's there's some beef with God and Satan, and Satan being kicked out of heaven, and he took his angels, and all that's nonsense. Okay, um, all the demons, all the demonic forces, they work for the Most High. Okay, they're just they just work on the left hand side. You have angels, um, righteous angels on the right hand side, and then you have evil angels on the left hand side. They all, but more importantly, they all work for the Most High. Okay, there's not going to be any type of major battle in heaven with Satan's angels versus God's angels. All that's That's a fable. Okay. Um, all spirits, whether they're good spirits or bad spirits, they all work for the Most High. Okay, and um, when that time comes, during that time, you're gonna have these demonic forces, these evil angels, um, let loose. Okay, and they're going to act out set judgments. Okay, because if we go to the book of Ecclesiasticus, the Lord created these evil angels, these evil spirits for vengeance. Okay, um, Ecclesiasticus or Sirach, chapter 39, I think it's 28. Let's see what that says. Yes, it says there be spirits that are created for vengeance. So again, you have these evil demonic spirits. Again, they work for the Most High. Okay, they're spiritual hitmen for the Most High. Okay, um, and not just spirits. Okay, reading on in that verse it says, which in their fury lay on sword strokes in the time of destruction. They power out their force and appease the wrath of him that made them. So again, these evil angels, they're sent out, and it can be in a form of like certain animals might catch these spirits. The Lord might put, evil spirits on angels. On an animal to attack people or whatever the case may be. As it says, if you continue to read it in verse 29, it says, fire and hail and famine and death, all these were created for vengeance. Okay, and verse 30 it says, teeth of wild beasts and scorpions, serpents, and the sword, punishing the wicked to destruction. So again, whenever somebody gets mauled by a lion in the mountains, okay, that was judgment from the Most High. Whenever you see someone get attacked by a stray dog, that was judgment from the Most High. But judgments can come in many form. As you just read in verse 29, it says fire and hail, famine, tornadoes, tsunamis. Um, the Lord's judgment can come in many forms, and one of those forms of judgment during that time period is going to be, these demonic forces, these strange apparitions, manifesting themselves, jacking people up. Okay, um, so that's a lot of those things are going to be taking place. Okay, um, just want to get some more dealing with, like these evil spirits, these evil angels. Okay, um, get the book of Psalms, the 78th chapter, and I think it's 49. Psalm 78 and 49. It says, he cast upon them the fierceness of his anger, wrath and indignation, and trouble by sending evil angels among them. So again, matter of fact, let me read on down. It says, verse 50, he made a way to his anger. He spared not their soul from death, but gave their life over to the pestilence, and smote all the firstborn of Egypt, and the chief of their strength in the tabernacles of Ham. So again, use an example during the time of ancient Egypt, during those, the time that Egypt was being plagued. Um, you had the death of the firstborn. Okay, but again, that was, those were evil angels carrying out um, orders from the Most High. Because again, um, whether it be good angels or bad angels, righteous angels or evil angels, okay, they all carry out orders, the orders from the Most High. Okay, um, get another one on that. As a matter of fact, because again, like I said, um, we're coming into the time where you're gonna start seeing a lot of these, a lot of strange occurrences take place. Okay, um, like they showed you in that movie, well, more so in that movie, they people were seeing things that other people around them couldn't see. It was like whatever one individual saw, it was for that individual. Okay, and again, that's not too far fetched. That's going to be that's going to be happening. People are going to be seeing things specific to certain individuals, and these demons, these demonic forces, they're going to be these evil angels. They're going to be manifesting themselves to where everyone can see them. Okay, so that's just part of the strange acts, the strange occurrences that are going to be taking place. Okay, um, going to the book of um, Judges 13 and 6. It says, then the woman came and told her husband, saying, a man of God came unto me, and his countenance was like the countenance of an angel of God, very terrible. And that's the one. That's the point I want to get, because a lot of times where you might see these, again, they could be evil angels or righteous angels, but nevertheless, whenever you come across these angels, um, you know, contrary to what they teach in the world, little naked babies, shooting arrows and Rubik's cubes and all that's nonsense. Okay, these angels of the Lord are very terrible, very terrifying creatures to look upon. Okay, um, whenever you see someone talking about how they see angels or whatnot, um, if they're not shitting their pants, then I don't worry, I don't worry about it, because again, whenever these angels and these demonic forces, okay, they're very, very, very terrible to look upon. Okay, and so much, when that time comes, um when these demons start manifesting themselves, some people aren't going to have the heart to bear it. Okay, and again, this is what took place in ancient Egypt when that darkness befell the Egyptians. They were seeing things that it caused them to have heart attacks. Okay, that's how bad it was. Those 3 days, those Egyptians, what they had to go through, that was a long 3 days. All right, it was 3 days of darkness. Okay, which basically it was just one long night. It was a long night, you could say. Okay. Um. Um. So let's get into the history. I got this queued up. This is the book of matter of fact, I might, because I thought about just skipping through certain points, but I might just read the whole chapter. If you read the book of Wisdom of Solomon, the 17th chapter, which is it comes from the Apocrypha, which is a part of the Bible. Okay, it was 14 books taken out of the Bible, um, by the what is known today as the Roman Catholic Church. Okay, these were 14 books taken out of the Bible. Um, because there's a lot of incriminating things when it comes to Esau. There's a lot of there's a lot of information in this Bible, in this part of the Bible, because it is a part of the Bible that incriminates Esau, the so-called white man. Okay, there's a lot of information in these 14 books. They did not want us, the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians, to come across. But nevertheless, you can't, all scripture, as it says, is given by inspiration of God. So, you can only hide this for so long. But nevertheless, this is the book of Wisdom of Solomon, the 17th chapter. And I'm just going to read the whole chapter, starting at verse 1. Now, again, this whole chapter, it goes into the time of ancient Egypt with those Egyptians, what they were going through, what they were experiencing during that time of those 3 days of darkness, that one long night. Okay, this whole chapter goes into that. So beginning at the book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 17 and verse 1, it says, "For great are thy judgments and cannot be expressed." So right off the bat, okay, um, what those Egyptians, what they were experiencing those 3 days, judgments, and again, strange things that were taking place that can't be explained. Okay, because that's how the Lord, he does things that's unexplainable. Okay, and it's again, I'm just trying to keep it short and sweet. Um, a lot of things the Lord does, you just can't explain it. You just can't put it into words. Okay, but nevertheless, that's what took place. Okay, during those 3 nights, those 3 days, and a lot of strange things, a lot of strange judgments that can't be expressed. Okay, so reading on, it says, therefore, nurtured souls have erred. For when unrighteous men thought to oppress the holy nation, they, being shut up in their houses, the prisoners of darkness, and fettered with the bonds of a long night, lay there exiled from the eternal providence. So again, um, because I just read it in Exodus, where it said how the Lord, he hardened Pharaoh's heart so he wouldn't allow the children of Israel to go. Okay, um, to show you, and that's to show you that there's no such thing as free will. Okay, man's goings are of the Lord. He allowed um, Egypt. He allowed that empire to become a great empire. Okay, he allowed Pharaoh to be prideful, just so he could destroy him. Okay, the Lord allows certain things to happen so that His word may be, His word will come to pass. So again, because Pharaoh, the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart. Pharaoh was a very puffed up and prideful being. Okay, um, and it's the same thing today. Okay, again, it talks about throughout the scripture, throughout the Bible, how um, Esau, he's a very prideful creature. All right, and again, the Lord is allowing Esau to be this prideful. He's allowing this kingdom to build up just so he can break it down, just like he did in ancient Egypt. All right. So, like I was saying, throughout the Bible, um, it talks about how America or Esau is the modern day. He's the modern day Pharaoh. All right. Because again, Pharaoh was prideful, and Esau, he's prideful. But I don't want to get off topic too much. Staying on track. Um, Reading verse 3, it says, for while they supposed to lie hid in their secret sins, they were scattered under a dark veil of forgetfulness, being horribly astonished and troubled with strange apparitions. So again, during that time of, that time of ancient Egypt, it wasn't, people, they just weren't sitting there in darkness. A lot of strange things were taking place. They were seeing all type of strange apparitions, um, all type of, what they would call ghosty figures. They were hearing things, right? So reading on to verse 4, it says, for neither might the corner that held them keep them from fear, but noises as of waters falling down sounded about them, and sad visions appeared unto them with heavy countenances. So as I just put the precept in, what was that? I think that was Judges. I put the precept in Judges 13:6. It talks about how the woman, the angel appeared unto the woman, which was that's going into Samson, his mother. Before he was born, his mother made a pact, basically. Um but she mentioned that how the angel was terrible. He looked terrible because again, the angels of the Lord, they're not some blonde-headed, blue-eyed, come to comfort, sing kumbaya. No, these angels, again, they could be evil angels, they could be righteous angels, but nevertheless, they look terrible. These creatures, they behold the face of the Most High. So again, they look terrible. They're very fearful to look upon. Okay, but again, and all these demonic forces and these demons, okay, they're nothing but angels of the Most High. Okay, Um, so reading on, or read that verse again. It says, "For neither might the corner that held them keep them from fear." Yeah. So um, those Egyptians, they were so shook. They were literally like frozen in fear. Um, a lot of people, you might hear something, and you might be, you might slowly start to turn around to see what it is, or whatever, whatever the case may be. But in this case, those Egyptians, man, they were so shook they couldn't move. If you've ever been, stuck in fear, if something's literally, um, scared you so much that it caused you to just stay in place. Like you couldn't move. Right. So again, because that's what those Egyptians, they were experiencing things that they didn't want to move. Okay. Leaning up against the wall, back to the wall. That was nothing. Okay. That wasn't going to do them anything. All right. Um, so again, they seen sad visions. They seen heavy, spirits with heavy countenances. They were seeing, again, because I can only put into words as best as I can describe it. As it read in the first verse, these the judgments that would take a place, that were it was it couldn't be expressed. You can't put into words the things that they were experiencing, what they were going through, what the things that they saw. Okay. Um. Again, it's said in that verse 4. It says, "But noises as of waters falling down sounded about them." So again, they were hearing, um, like a Niagara Falls, water rushing down. And I don't know if you've ever stood too close to water, but when the water, when it's gushing down, man, it doesn't sound, you can feel it as well. When you hear the noise of water that's gushing down, it can be pretty scary. But nevertheless, um, in verse 5 it says, "No power of the fire might give them light, neither could the bright flames of the stars endure to lighten that horrible night." So again, it was so dark during that time. You try to, um, try to put it in modern terms, you try to light a lighter, you won't be able. The darkness would consume that light. Just to show you how dark it was. As we just, as I read in Exodus, this was a darkness that could be felt. So you try to turn on the light switch or whatever, um, and you still couldn't see anything. It was still pitch black. Okay, and so much that whenever you go out at night, late at night, you can see the stars or whatever. You might be walking down a road that's so pitch black, but at least if you could look up, at least when you look up, you can still see the stars and whatnot. That would give you some form of light. Not in this case, okay? It was so dark you couldn't see stars, you couldn't see nothing, you couldn't see anything. Okay, whether you open your eyes or close your eyes, it wouldn't make a difference. You couldn't see nothing. Just to show you how dark it was. Okay. Um, verse 6 it says, "Only there appeared unto them a fire kindled of itself, very dreadful, for being much terrified." And again, that's going into when it talks about that fire, because it when you read throughout the Bible, spirits is pretty much it's compared to as fire, basically. Okay. um Certain parts of the Bible, I'm not going to get into it, because again, I'm just trying to stay on the subject. But the Bible talks about how we have fire in us. Okay. And basically our spirit is made of fire. I forgot the term of it. When oh man, what's that called? When oh man, there's a term. There's a term called when you oh man, I forgot the term of it. But basically, you because we all have we all have that fire in us, because it's more so talking about this, our spirit, right? A lot of times you hear about what hey man, let me see if I can just pull it up, man. Let's see if I can just get it. It's what is it called? Oh man. Um, see what that says. Com com combustion. A lot of you probably know what I'm talking about, but spirits just want me to get this out. I don't know what it's called. Um, Spontaneous. There it is. Spontaneous combustion, combustion. Spontaneous. Well, basically when um, let's see what this definition says. Yeah, this is it. Spontaneous combustion or spontaneous ignition is a type of combustion which occurs by um, self-heating, increase in temperature due to exothermic internal reactions, followed by thermal runaway self-heating, which rapidly accelerates to high temperatures and finally ignites. So basically, you hear about a lot of cases where um, people just it basically just um, damn, why can't I put this in words? Basically when your body just randomly ignites on fire, and that's because again, we're there's a spirit within us, which is is basically fire. Okay, and again, throughout the Bible, um, the angels, they're referred to as fire. So just going back, I don't want to get off course too much. Um, Back at verse 6, it says, "Only there appeared unto them a fire kindled of itself." Very dreadful. So again, that's just going into spirits. Okay, um, spirits would just manifest themselves. Okay, and it says it was very very dreadful. Okay, um, it says, "For being much terrified, they thought the things which they saw to be worse than the sight they saw not." Read that again. It says, "They thought the things which they saw to be worse than the sight they saw not." Because you know all this stuff, it was basically take place in the mind. They were, again, you have spirits just manifest themselves, um, and it might not have even been there. Okay, it might have just been in your mind. Okay, just to show you, because the scriptures talk about um, being fearful of the Lord. We're supposed to live our lives in fear of YAHAWAH BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI, because again, this as the scriptures say, this is the King of terrors we're talking about. Okay, the Lord, he can manifest your worst fears and then some before you. Okay, you might think that you're not afraid of anything. Well, the Lord will he will put you through something to show you that you are afraid, and you're afraid of a lot of things. There's a lot of things you're afraid of, things that you never even thought of. Okay, um, these are the things that the Lord can do, and this is why we're supposed to live our lives in fear. Okay, and again, these plagues are coming back here to America because people are walking out here without the fear of YAHAWAH BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI. People are walking out here thinking, you could do as thou wilt, spirit. You only live once. The hell with it. Do whatever you want. Type of attitude. Not taking into consideration these things. Okay, because again, we're coming into the times where Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, he's going to give that order, and these demons, man, they can't wait. They're going to be on top of, like I keep mentioning, I keep bringing out, on top of everything else that's going on. You're going to have these demons out here, man. These demonic forces getting busy. All right, people are going to get jacked the hell up out here. All right, so going on. Yeah, man. These Egyptians, those Egyptians, man, they saw things that as the scripture said, man, it was dreadful and very terrifying to look upon. All right, verse 7. As for the illusions of art magic, they were put down, and their vaunting in wisdom was reproved with disgrace, because those Egyptians during that time, they were dealing a lot with like magic and witchcraft, basically. All right. In that time, and during that time, that stuff, it wasn't doing anything for them. It couldn't save them. And again, America's the same way, because America deals heavily with witchcraft. It tells you that in the Book of Revelations. Um, basically, the Lord is asking basically a rhetorical question. Where's let me see if I can just get it real quick. Talk about the enchantments. Basically, the Lord is calling America out. Like where's your enchantments? Because again, America deals heavily with witchcraft. Um, oh man, I can't spell. Let's see if I can just get it real quick. Um, bear with me. God, this thing is freezing up on me. Come on. There we go. All right. So, bear with me. This thing keeps freezing up on me. All right, let me just get back to it. All right. I'm going back to Wisdom of Solomon 17 and verse 7. It says, as for the illusions of art magic, they were put down in their vaunting, and wisdom was reproved with disgrace. For they that promised to drive away terrors and troubles from a sick soul were sick themselves of fear, worthy to be laughed at. All right, so because again, the Egyptians, they dealt heavily with again, like magic and witchcraft and things like that. You had during that time you had a lot of Egyptians, um, basically exorcists, right? Casting out the sick souls and things of that nature. Okay, ancient Egypt dealt a lot with that. They were heavy into that stuff. All right, but again, during that time they couldn't do anything. All right, as it just said, they themselves were sick. They were they were terrified in that day. It says, worthy to be laughed at. To show you the one of the characteristics of YAHAWAH BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI. Um, when people don't want to keep the law, statutes, and commandments, and live in fear of YAHAWAH BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI, and um, when hell befalls them, and the first thing they do, they go crying to the Lord. And if you ain't right, the Lord, he just laughs at you. It tells you that in that thing does not want to work. There we go. Where's that? Proverbs. This thing does not want to move. Okay. I'm trying to make this quick, man, because this thing keeps freezing up. I think that's Proverbs 1 and 26. Let me try that first. Yeah, Proverbs 1 and 26, it says, I also will laugh at your calamity. I will mock when your fear cometh. So again, people that don't want to keep the law, statutes, and commandments of YAHAWAH BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI, and um, first sign of trouble, the first thing they want to do is cry out to the Lord. Where the Lord's like, he laughs at people like that. All right, he mocks you. The angels, they all laugh. Okay, you become a laughing stock, and that's what was taking place. That's what was taking place in during the ancient Egypt during that time of darkness. They were being laughed at and mocked at. Okay, and again, got to keep bringing up the point. That's what's going to happen here in America. A lot, especially because um, no judgment begins at the house of Israel. The Lord's going to start with His people, because we, out of all people, out of all nations, we should know better. We're the ones that are supposed to be setting the standard and teaching the nations on how to live, and teaching the other nations on how to keep the law, statutes, and commandments of YAHAWAH BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI. So the Lord's going to He looks at us first. So He's going to start with us first. All right. So when you Drake start catching hell, and you start being succumbed by these things, the Lord is going to laugh at you, especially you 2/3. Because I brought it up in previous videos. I'm not going to bring it out in this one. 2/3 of Israel is not going to make it. All right. So when these things start happening, the Lord is going to be laughing. Him, the only begotten Son, Yahawashi, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus, and all the angels, and even the men of the Lord here, those here on earth. The Bible talks about how they're going to be laughing and mocking, because it all goes back to the times that we're in. In the book of Ecclesiastes, the third chapter, there's a time for everything. And right now, here it is. People are laughing and living it up, having a good time, doing whatever they want. Or this is supposed to be the time of mourning. This is supposed to be a time of crying out to the Lord to bring this place down, so we can get into our kingdom, right? But again, a lot of you 2/3 Jakes, man, y'all are still in that party type of spirit, Um, well, the script is going to be flipped. When all hell starts breaking loose, those that took the opportunity to sigh and cry and complain to the Most High, during that time, they're gonna be they're gonna be the ones eating, you know, um, laughing, okay, and while all of those that didn't take the time to complain and repent, change, during that time, again, because the script is going to flip. So people that are living it up now, when all hell breaks loose, they're going to be the ones in mourning. All right, because again, during that time there's going to be famines and all type of hell breaking loose. Okay, but again, scriptures talk about the men of the Lord, how they're going to be eating, even though there's going to be a famine, but the Lord, He's going to take care of His men. He's going to take care of His elect. So during that time, even the men of the Lord, they're going to be laughing. They're going to be seeing people getting jacked the hell up. They're going to be seeing people getting freaking mauled by demons and all type of demonic forces and ghosts and spirits and animals, and all hell breaking loose. The men of the Lord, they're going to be laughing. So yeah, man. Yeah, coming to time, coming to those times where people are going to start, um, lost my train of thought. This is the time. Man, I lost my train of thought. Um, oh yeah. Yeah, we're coming into times where a lot of people are going to stop, going to start becoming the laughing stock. Okay, not only in the presence of um Yahweh, Yahawah and the angels, but the men of the Lord as well. All right, and this is just my humble opinion. Speaking as a man, um, during the ancient Egypt, because it tells you that in Exodus, what we just read, it talks about how when the children, when the Egyptians didn't have light, it tells you how the children of Israel, they had light. And I'm sure, again, this is just my humble opinion, speaking as a man. I'm sure that they were probably laughing. They seen the Egyptians catching hell, they were laughing. I'm just my opinion on that, but nevertheless, so yeah, going back to this, so you had the Egyptians. They dealt heavily with witchcraft and sorcery and things like that. Um, You had those people, like basically them, they were exorcists and things like that. But again, during that time, they couldn't do anything. They were defenseless, and they were um, a laughing stock. Okay, and again, it tells you how they were in fear as well. Okay, they were seeing things too. They were shook as well. All right. So verse 9, it says, For though no terrible thing did fear them, yet being scared with beasts that pass by, and hissing and serpents. So again, during that time, um, they were hearing all type of beasts, wild creatures. They probably, they heard lions. They probably even felt, animals brush up on the legs. They I'm telling you, you know, and this is all in the mind. Okay, it's nothing for the Lord to have you in the dark and make you feel snakes, snakes crawling past your foot. It's nothing for the Lord to make it appear that way. Okay, you know, and these were the things. This is what the Egyptians were fearing. This is what they were going through. They were hearing all type of animals and creatures and probably things that they never heard before. All right, um, and hissing of serpents. They died for fear, denying that they saw the air, which could of no side be avoided. So again, a lot of them, they were in such terrible conditions, man. They were in so much fear. A lot of them just ended up dying. Their hearts just failed them. They had heart attacks for being in so much fear. All right. Um, which could of no side be avoided. Yeah, because again, you hear something and you look, you might try to look to see what it was or where it's coming from. But again, those Egyptians, they were so terrified, they were so petrified, they were stuck in fear. All right, and again, it says a lot of them just died, ended up their hearts just ended up just stop pumping blood throughout the body. That's how much fear they were. Verse 11, for wickedness condemned for wickedness condemned by her own witness is very timorous, and being pressed with conscience always forecasteth grievous things. Yeah, because um it's not like these Egyptians, they didn't understand why they were catching hell. They understood very, very much so why they were catching hell. All right. And that's going to take place today. When these strange things start happening and all hell breaks loose, it's not like, oh, why am I going through this or why am I going through that? During that time, you're going to know somehow, some fashion, some way, the Lord is going to make it to where why you're going through this. All right. And those Egyptians, they knew very well why they were catching hell. All right. Again, because it almost so goes back to that pride, right? The Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart, and as the scripture say, pretty much, and I'm not quoting this for verbatim, but it talks about how the leader of the people is, that's pretty much how the people are going to be. However the leader is, that's how the people are going to be. So, you know, here it is, Pharaoh, he hardened his heart, or his heart was hardened, and he just wouldn't let the children of Israel go. And I'm sure those Egyptians, they felt the same way. I'm sure they looked down on on the Israelites, um, you know, and whatever the case may be. Just like today, so-called blacks, Hispanics, and African Indians, they call us the minorities. Looked down upon. You know, um, last one hired, first one fired. So again, um, the Lord's he's gonna make it to where you're gonna know why you're catching hell, and that's a lot. Those Egyptians, they knew very well why they were catching that hell. All right, so because it tells you, go to this other app. Hopefully it works. It doesn't freeze up on me. Okay. What is that? Wisdom of Solomon. I think that's 11 and Was it my Solomon 11:15? But for the foolish devise but for the foolish devices of their wickedness, wherewith being deceived, they worship serpents, void of reason, and vile beasts. Thou didst send a multitude of unreasonable beasts upon them for vengeance. So, um, also basically, a lot of those Egyptians, it goes back to you reap what you sow. Okay, a lot of those Egyptians, they were building, they were worshiping idols, they were worshiping animals as idols. So a lot of them, that's how, because when you die on this earth, your works follow with you. Okay, and that's pretty much what you put out is what you're going to get back. Okay, because again, a lot of those Egyptians, they worshipped animals as idols. Okay, so a lot of them, they were, seeing. That's why they were seeing a lot of them. They were seeing those beasts, because that's what they were worshiping. That's what they dealt heavy with that stuff. So, and again, it's going to be the same way today. Um, a lot. You 2/3, you're going to be judged by your wickedness, as it says in Romans. I think it's the 6 and 23rd chapter, 6 and 23. It says the wages of sin is death. Basically, the Lord is going to pay you what you put out. He's going to reward you with what the work that you give, with what you do, basically. Because again, a lot of those Egyptians, they were worshiping those animals or whatnot. So I'm not, that's why a lot of them, they were hearing all type of animals and stuff like that. They even felt animals brush up on their legs and stuff like that. So, nevertheless, reading on, it says, verse 12: For fear is nothing else but a betraying of the succors which reason offereth, and the expectation from within being less counteth the ignorance more than the cause which bringeth the torment. But they sleeping the same sleep that night, which was indeed intolerable, and which came upon them out of the bottoms of inevitable hell. So, a lot of times we try, we go through hell, we go through something, we just try to sleep it off. Well, these cats, man, these Egyptians, they couldn't sleep it off. All right. Again, so those 3 days of darkness, which was basically one long night, that it was a long night. All right. They like I said, they try to sleep it off, and it just wasn't going down like that, because a lot of people, they like to take the easy way out, and the Lord, when things really start getting bad out here, a lot of people are going to try to, commit suicide to take the easy way out. Well, the Lord's not. The Bible talks about how, that death angel, he's going to be removed. So, a lot of people are going to try to commit suicide, and, YAHAWAH BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI, he's going to basically command that death angel to flee. So it's no way, it's no getting out of this. You can't take the easy way out. Talks about that in Micah, bearing the indignations of YAHAWAH BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI, and that's what the righteous are doing now. The elite right now, understanding that the elite understand that, we're the ones that messed up. So, it's good to just, pray for mercy and, just deal with it. A lot of us, and I say it humbly, just, hoping that I'm of the elect. But, a lot of us, um, we just put up with it, because one thing you gotta understand is this thing was written out from the beginning. So, you know, um, it's being played out now. So, you can't change history. You can't change the course, or none of that. You can't change anything. Whatever befalls you, you just got to deal with it. You got to bear with it. Okay. But again, I'm sure a lot of those Egyptians, man, they were, you know, probably trying to sleep it off so they can, make time go by fast. No, you can't. You can't. It tells you in the same verse, inevitable hell. Okay, so this was bound to happen. This was going to happen. So, and that hell, is talking about, um, hell is not a place. I just want to say that. All right, that hell doctrine. There's no such place. There's no place in the earth or the ground where you burn forever. You perish. Your soul perish forever. That doesn't exist. Okay. Hell is more so it's a condition. Okay, but that's another topic for another time. Moving on to verse 15. Were partly vexed with monstrous apparitions. Monstrous apparitions. If you could picture that, because again, we're we're we're, we're dealing with the king of terrors. Okay, so it's nothing for the Lord. It's nothing, and that's part of the fear. Just understanding that, you know these things, the Lord could bring these things, and it's nothing for Him to bring these calamities. You just read it. It talks about it. It talked about monstrous apparitions. If you could picture your worst nightmare, listen, man, the Lord can magnify that to where, again, as what these Egyptians were going through. He can make things appear that it will just cause your heart to stop beating. It'll cause your heart to stop pumping blood through your body. Okay, those Egyptians, they were seeing things that it was so terrifying that the scariest movie ever created is nothing compared to what those Egyptians were going through during that time of darkness. And again, America being the modern day, or the modern day Egypt, and Esau being the modern day Pharaoh. Okay, these things are coming here. These things are going to befall this place. Okay, um, reading on, it says, were partly vexed with monstrous apparitions, and partly fainted, the heart failing them for a sudden fear, and not looked for it, came upon them. So again, it's nothing for YAHAWAH BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI to bring, um your worst fears upon you. It's nothing. It's so much that your heart will just stop pumping blood through your body, and you just your spirit just leaves the body. Okay, it's nothing for the Lord to do that. Okay, um, verse 16. So then whosoever there fell down was straitly kept, shut up in a prison without iron bars. Because again, it was like they were in prison, but they didn't have bars on it, because again, that's just how much of fear they were in. Just they were stuck in place, frozen in fear. Okay, they couldn't move or anything. They were so shook. Um, Verse 17. For whether he were husbandman or shepherd or laborer in the field, he was overtaken and endured that necessity which could not be avoided, for they were all bound with one chain of darkness. So again, everybody caught it. Man, woman, and child. Everybody caught it. Okay. Um, One thing about the Lord is He doesn't respect no person. Okay. No respect of persons, as they even quote that in the world. All right. So it doesn't matter if you're an old woman, a baby. It doesn't matter. All right. Because one thing that the world doesn't understand is, a lot of times things happen to people. They might, appear to be good from a physical standpoint, but behind closed doors, it's no telling what kind of person that individual was. And another thing that people don't understand is, a lot of times when bad things do happen, or people are born with defects and born paralyzed and all these other things, people born blind and whatnot. It's because, one thing you gotta understand about life is we've all been here before. A lot of people, they're afraid of death, but we've already died before. We've died plenty of times already. Um, and a lot of people, you gotta understand, when you die, your spirit goes back to the Father. Your sentence, you know, your judgment, you're up there for a period of time, and then you come back on the earth and you live out that judgment. So whenever you see someone, born with defect, might have, people born with no legs or whatever the case may be, it's because you're paying for the sins that you committed in your past lives, right? So, something they don't teach in the world. That's another topic. Um, Moving on, in verse 18, it says, um, whether it were a whistling wind or a melodious noise of birds among the spreading branches, or a pleasing fall of water running violently, or a terrible sound of stones cast down, or a running that could not be seen, of skipping beast, or a roaring wind, a roaring voice of most savage wild beast, or a rebounding echo from the hollow mountains. These things made them to swoon for fear. Now, if I'm not mistaken, that word swoon, it just means like to I just looked this definition up the other day. It goes into it basically goes into like basically fainting from extreme emotion. You could look that up. That word swoon, it means fainting from fear, from extreme emotion, fainting from extreme emotion, something along those lines. You could look it up. But again, that's what these things were. That's what these people were dealing with. Okay, um, for the whole world shined with clear light, and none were hindered in their labor. Over them only was spread in heavy night an image of that darkness which should afterward receive them, but yet they were unto themselves more grievous than the darkness. So yeah, I believe that's it. But yeah, man, there's coming a time where, like, keep bringing out. There's coming a time with all this, because as we read in Second Esdras, the 15th chapter, um, the Lord is you know sending those plagues back to America, which is spiritually called Egypt. Okay, a lot of people are starting to wake up. You know, things that are happening here with locusts and things like that. People are starting to realize, hey, well, this took place in ancient Egypt. Well, a lot of people aren't talking about what happened in ancient Egypt when it comes when it come to that darkness. All right, and those strange things that were taking place. All right, this is what's about to happen to this place. All right, you're going to start seeing a lot of strange occurrences. Um, People are going to start seeing things that's not really there. All right, and things that are there, because again, these demons, these spirits, they're going to start manifesting themselves. All right. Um, and this is what took place in ancient Egypt. Okay, people, those Egyptians. So I'm sure some of those Egyptians. They the the best way I can explain it is pretty much they seen a hologram of themselves. We're talking about themselves. Okay, they probably seen themselves get killed in a horrible way, or whatever the case may be. All right. Those Egyptians, man, they were seeing things. They were hearing all type of weird, strange things. All right. Um, you know, and this has happened before. Okay. These are things that have happened in the past. Okay. Um, do not freeze up on me, please. Just, okay. Try to make this quick before this thing freezes up. Judges chapter, was that 7, verse 20, I think. Um, Here it is. Judges 7:22. It says, and the 300 blew the trumpets, and the Lord set every man's sword against his fellow. Even throughout all the host, and the host fled to Bethshittah in Zereroth, and to the border of Abel Meholah unto Tabath. Now, what's going on here? Yeah, this is well, I encourage you to read the story on your own, dealing with the Gideon and the Midianites. I'm not going to get into it for the sake of time. But in this verse, in the 20, what was that? The 22nd verse. Um, you had these Midianites. Basically coming up against um, coming against the these Jews, which it says it was 300 blew. It says 300 blew the trumpets. So what happened when these Jews, these Israelites, they blew these trumpets? It says, and the Lord set every man's sword against his fellow. So basically, those Midianites that were coming against these Jews, um, these Jews, they blew the trumpet, and the Lord caused another one of these strange occurrences to take place to where these Midianites, I don't know if they the Lord caused some type of confusion to where they started basically killing themselves, right? They started turning their own swords against one another. Just to show, um, you know, another one of these strange occurrences that the Lord did. All right, causing, the Lord caused all type of confusion. What it is, I don't know, but again, He set up to where these Midianites, they were, I don't know, he caused some incident to where these Midianites started killing themselves. Um, and so, because I just, again, I just thought it was, this just going back to this movie, the Bird Box movie. These people just started bugging out. They started seeing things and causing to commit suicide. Um, so um, I just thought it was, a lot of these movies, because like I said earlier, I'm just getting in the habit of watching these these just watching certain movies like I Am Legend. What's this other movie? The Book of Eli. All these movies, they're very prophetic. So just wanted to do a quick video dealing with this topic. Um, yeah, man, because again, these are plagues that are coming back to America. You know, Trump is talking about um, he's talking about it like a cyber attack. So they're talking about preparing for a possible like EMT attacks and stuff like that. And if they do that, if they were to do an EMP attack, that would pretty much leave this place in darkness. There would be no electricity. There would be no light. You know, so if that were to happen, maybe the Lord has set it up to where this takes place again, to where people, they start seeing things and hearing things, dreadful things, and so much. Again, people starting killing themselves and killing people around them. All right, because again, the Lord can do that. So that's pretty much all. Um, yeah, that was pretty much it. So I just wanted to do, well, I would say quick video, but it's pretty long, I'm sure. Yeah, that was pretty long, but nevertheless, you know, these are the times we're coming into. I encourage you, so-called Blacks, Hispanics, Native American Indians, start repenting while you can, because this thing, all this is about to be shut down. And by the time a lot of people do decide to change and repent, it's going to be too late. Okay, so before they shut the internet down, and before martial law really is in full effect, to where nobody can go out or do anything. I encourage you, so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians, to repent. And I'm more so talking to the elect, um, more so the elect and the elect within the elect, because again, only two-thirds aren't going to make it. And the scriptures talk about 1/3 making it. So a lot of that that consists of women, children, helpers of the prophets. Okay, um so with that being said, I want to once again give all credit to YAHAWAH BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI, and our double honors to the apostles and elders of Greatmillstone. And until next time, I say shalawam.